Hello and welcome to my channel Code with Akky. How are you doing, guys? So I have bring a Firebase crash course series version 9, which is the latest version of the Firebase, and this is the very first part of this series in which we'll be learn about the Firebase authentication using a very simple React application. We will see the functionalities like sign up, login, update profile, forget password, and email verification confirmation mail. So all these functionalities we will be covering in this particular series of this part, and I hope you definitely love this series of this Firebase crash course. We will also cover the most important concepts of the Firebase services like the Firebase storage and the real-time database applications that will be built in React with the help of the Firebase. So are you guys excited? Then hit the subscribe button to show your love towards this channel. And if you have or if you want to have more videos just like this, then make sure to comment down below your suggestion. Your suggestion matters the most. And let's get started and see the demo of the build, what we are going to build in this very first part of our Firebase React authentication. So let's get started. So as you guys can see here, we have a very nice UI of this login form here, and we have this register form here. So in this part, we will cover the advanced concept of context API, how to manage the state of a login user or the authenticated user here. And we will also create a private route for more secure routing mechanism that we will be introduced in this particular part of this video. We will use the React router DOM to achieve that purpose, and we will see a very nice or simple context API integration in this build also. So you can see here we have this very nice simple login page here. So let's create a user first of all. So here let's create a user, just give it the name, add the 123. Let's add the password here. So this is our password, right? And here let me click on this register. So when I click on this register, you see there is an error which comes directly from the Firebase, and the error statement is the password should at least be 6 characters. So this is the full validated form here. So whatever the error you will get, you will directly show it on your screen here. So let's add a correct combination for the password. Now let's click on the register here. So when I click on this register, you will see I'm back to my dashboard page, which will only be accessible when you will be authenticated. So now you can see I'm authenticated here, and we have a bunch of options here like logout and the update profile. So let's click on the update profile, and here inside of this update profile you will see we have 2 tabs, one for updating the email and one for the updating the password. So let's update the email first of all. So I have added the Akky. Let me add the email and just change the email. So let's first check the validation kind of thing. So let's click on this update. Now you can see here this is the invalid email, right? So let's add another. Let's add the gmail.com correctly here. Now let's click on this update. Now you will see the email is updated successfully. So now we can check it. So now you can see here the email is updated successfully. Now check the Firebase console here. Now when you click on this under the authentication section, you will see here we have this email that I have created here, and it is updated like 22nd of August here. So let me just update it one more time so you can see it side by side. So let me add it like 4 here. Now click on this update. Now you can see here the email is updated successfully. Now let's check the console. Now let's refresh this. Now you can see here it is updated now here. Okay, now one more thing, I will update the password similarly like this. So let's update the password here. So here I have just updated the password. Now click on this update. You will see the password updated successfully. Okay, let's go back to our profile page, and here we have this logout option. Now click on this logout. Now I am just logged out from here. Now you can see here we have this email, and this is the password that we have created very earlier here. When I click on this login, we will not be able to log in because the user authentication error and the user is not found. That is the error that is thrown from the Firebase here. Now you can see here I have updated the email, so let's add the updated email here. Now click on this login. You will see the wrong password because I have updated the password also. So let's add the password name, and now click on this login. Now you can see here we have successfully logged in here. Okay, so this is the thing that we have to build it here. And now let's click on this password. One more thing, I will show you the forget password option. So here you just need to enter the email for the forget password. So now let's enter a previous email that I have created with this. Now click on this submit. Now you can see here the user not found with this email. So we just need to add a correct email for here. So but the email that I have added it here, that was a malformed email, like that particular email does not exist at all. So instead of this I will add a genuine email here. So I will show you the email that we will be received to reset my account. So now let's click on this submit. You will see here this success check email check inbox for the further instruction. So we will simply receive an email from the Firebase, and it contains a link. When you click on this particular link, the email, it prompts the user to add the password. I will show you in a while, just be with us. So this is the email that I am talking about here. Now you can see here this is the sender name here, and it is coming from, now you can see here it is coming from no reply React Firebase. Now you can see here, open the detailed view of this. Now you can directly see this is the this is my Firebase application, that project that we have created on the Firebase console, and this is the email sender that is basically provided by default from the Firebase console. I will show you how you can simply create your own template or the customized template according to your specific needs. You can simply do this. Now you can see here the content, check the contents of this reset password here. Now you can see here we have this very nice not very nice, we have this link for the updation or simply the reset of the password. When you click on this link, you will see there is a prompt for us to add a new password here. So let's add a new password here. I have added the password. Now click on the save. When you save it, you can see you can now sign in with this new password. So let's test it one more time. Let's go back to our login. Now here just simply add Akky, and here for the password I will just add the updated password that we have just reset our email, the mail that we have received here. Now you can see here we have this profile, and now we have successfully logged in. So that's the thing that we will be going to build in this particular series. I hope you definitely love this demo, and you will surely build this React authentication project along with me. So let's get started and just do the things in the VS Code. So let's go and build this project. So here I have created a very simple React app using the npx create React app, and here I have added a very simple thing. Now you can see here we have added a demo text here. Let's build a Firebase authentication system, and now here I have already started my React application using npm start here. So this is the very basic or the beginner step that you guys need to follow before creating a React application. So I have did that already. Now let's do the very important thing, that is to set up your Firebase project in your Firebase console. For that you guys need to go the console.firebase.com, and here inside of this console you just need to create your project here. So here on the dashboard of this Firebase console, you can see here I have here the add project section. So when you click on this add project, you just need to give the name of the project here. So here just give the name React Auth Firebase. So here we just give the name of the project. Now let's click on the continue, and you just need to do the next, and you will be simply have your project will be simply be created after that here. So when your project will be created, you just get the dashboard just like this. So you will get the dashboard like this. I will show you. So here you will see this dashboard here. So inside of this dashboard, you just need to go to your project settings. So let's click on this and you will be here inside of your project settings. So when you have created your project, you will be thrown to this dashboard page, and from there you can simply navigate to your project setting, and inside of this project setting, on when you simply scroll down, you will see here we have this snippet of this. So this snippet is required to add the client SDK of the Firebase in your project, so that you can simply use this Firebase console features right into your application using this Firebase configuration. So for this, you just need to copy it. Let's copy this snippet and you just need to paste it here. So here let's create a file. Let's create a file. Just give the name of it, just firebase.js, and here you just need to paste down this snippet. I will let you know what this snippet stands for, but let me show you one more thing here. First of all, when you added this snippet in your code, the next thing is used is the authentication part. So you just need to click on this authentication, and inside of this sign in method, you just need to provide the providers, sign in providers you just want to enable for your user authentication and integration that you will be done in your application. So here you just need to click on this add a new provider, and here you just need to select this email and the password. In this part, I'll just use email and password for our authentication purpose mechanism. So we will be simply enable this particular option here. So you just need to click on this email and the password, and here after when you enable it, you will see it is the status is now enabled here. When this status is enabled, you just need to go to your settings page, and inside of this settings page, you will see here there is the authorized domain. So inside of this authorized domain, if you want to host this application to a custom domain, you just need to add the URL of that particular domain, or else if you not add this URL of the particular domain on which you just live this or just make this or deploy this application, this will not be work. So you just need to, or it is mandatory part, you just need to add the domain inside of this. Okay, so that's the thing that that is clear at this point of time. Now the next thing is the template. So here when you click on this templates, you will get the bunch of templates here, like the email address verification. So whenever you just enter the email, if you want to verify that particular email using sending email, and when you send the email, the user click on this email link and the email is got verified after that, right? So this is the template for the email. You can simply click on this template. Now you can set the sender name and from which you reply. So you can simply add this thing through here, and here you just need to customize the action URL. So suppose if you have built your own UI for a particular page, so you can simply add that particular URL directly here, so it will be redirected to that particular URL. So from there you can simply customize it accordingly here. Next is the template for the password reset. So suppose if you want to reset the password, so I have used that thing, this forget password thing. So I have used this. So for that, you just simply click on this and this pencil icon, and here you can simply customize the message you just want to send inside your email with the following HTML snippet here. So you can simply add the HTML snippet here, and you can simply add a custom action URL also, so for which you just want to redirect to where you just want to there. So you can simply add the custom action URL also here. One more thing, you can simply see here we have this email address change or the SMTP settings. Suppose if you have you just want to have use another different SMTP provider, whether it will be Amazon or other SMTP provider. So you can use that particular SMTP provider, and here you can simply enable it, and you just simply update each and everything here. So this is the templates here, and inside of the sign-in methods, you can see here you will get the list of all the providers that you are using for authentication. So you will get the list of the things here, and inside of this user you will see here for the users you will get all the users that you that will be signed to your application. You can simply get the track of that, or track of all the users that is signed on your application here. So that's the Firebase thing you just need to know before doing more tasks on the Firebase here. So let's go back to our Visual Studio Code, and here you can see I have set our Firebase, and but we don't want this analytics here. So let's remove the analytics part here, and instead of this analytics we just want this authentication kind of thing. So for this you just need to import the auth from the Firebase auth. So you just need to simply do Firebase, and for the Firebase, to use the Firebase you just need to install the Firebase. So for this let's open the terminal, and inside this terminal just install the Firebase like this. So here it will install your Firebase in your application, and after that you will definitely use the Firebase features right in your application. So Firebase has been successfully installed. Now let's import the Firebase auth here. So let's import it. So let's import Firebase auth, and from the Firebase auth package, this is all the modular packages. So from the previous version of the Firebase, which is the Firebase version 8 or Firebase version 7, we didn't have this modular import or like these things here. So we can use this, everything is now modular. So you can simply use the client SDK here, and rest of the thing you just need to simply import the function name and everything from there. So for inside of this Firebase auth, we will simply use this get auth method here. So let's add this and just create an auth object just like this, and we just simply add a get auth like this, and simply this, and you just want this authentication object inside of our application. So just simply export this auth object here. Now let's save this. Our Firebase configuration is done here. You just need nothing to do for the configuration right now, and the only thing that is left here, you just need to simply add all the bunch of functionalities that we just want to implement it here. The configuration part is done. Now the part of the integration comes, which is the Firebase features that we will be using, like the login, sign up, and the password resetting, or the email updation, or the password updation, forget password. All these things we will simply get covered in this part here. Now to cover that particular part, I'll just need to simply create a context, right? So let's create a context for this. So for this we just simply create the authentication context. So for this let's create a folder with then just give it the name context, and create a file inside of this. Let me just give it the name AuthContext.js. So this is our AuthContext.js, and we will create a context here. So context is basically provides the global data right to our component tree. So for that we will use the context here. So very simple thing, or very simple usage of the context is to simply pass the data, the global data, which we will be required in our component tree to be used here, right? So here the very first thing, we will simply create the auth context. So let's export. Let's create this auth context, and here we will use the create context, and we will import the create context from React. So we will use this create context here, and here we will simply create a hook with the name of use auth. So let's create the hook use auth, and this hook will simply use this context data right in our application when we require. So for that we will call a use context hook here, and use context hook, and inside of this we just simply pass the context that we have created and above. Now it's time to create a provider. So let's create a provider. So we have this auth provider, so let's add this auth provider, and this auth provider will take the component tree as a children here. So here this is children, and here we have this auth provider. Inside of this auth provider, we will add a bunch of things like login, sign up, everything, updating email, updating password, the sending the password reset email, or the sign out logout functionality. Everything we will add inside of this auth provider, right? And here after that, we will simply return. Let me just add the return statement for that. So we will simply return the auth context. So let's create the auth context dot provider, and here we will pass the values that we will simply want to send to our component tree here. So here it comes our children, the component tree that we just simply wrap the auth provider, you know, and then inside of this we'll simply pass the value. So all the values that we will be using, we just simply pass this value in a destructured mode. Now let's add all the values that we will be passing to this. So the very first thing, we will simply create a state for the user, which will be the current user here. So here this is our user. So here let's add the user state for this. So simply import the user state from the React. Similarly, we will simply call a method which is a use effect, and inside of this use effect, we just want the user, or we just want to listen the authentication state. So for the authentication state, we just want to listen on that thing. So whenever the user is authenticated with the email and the password, or the user is registered on with this, we will simply need to listen on that particular authentication state changing here. So for that, we will simply add it inside of this use effect. Whenever our component loads, it will simply going to call each and every time here. Now for this, we just simply wrap it inside of this current user. So let's add a current user like this, and here we have just created the auth object that is the locally in my application. So we will use this auth object here, and auth object has a method called on auth state change, which basically listen the authenticated user whenever the user attempts to log in inside of our application, or the signing inside of our application here. So this on auth state change will simply return the current user, and we will use this state on auth state change. It will simply return the state of the user, the details of the user that we will be required ahead in our application. So we will simply set the user according to the auth state change object, that whatever we will receive inside of this. So this is how you can simply set our current user, and here after this we can simply unsubscribe it. So for this, you just simply return that current user like this. So this is how we can do this. And next, we will have the bunch of functionality. Like the very first functionality we just want here, this is the sign up. So for the sign up, we will simply import or simply create a function. Let's create a function with the name of register. So let's create a function with the name of register. This is for the sign in functionality. Similarly, we will create a function for, this is the function for sign up functionality, and this function is for login functionality, which is basically the sign in. So for this, we will simply create a function similarly for this also. So let's create a function with the name of login, which is a very simple name for sign in. And now here you can see this is our register, this is our login. So this will simply creates the user, and this will simply authenticates the user when the user is successfully created. And the next thing, we will simply add this logout method. Logout method will simply logs the user out from our application. So for this, you will simply create a function with the name of simple name, just give it the name logout, and this is how we can do this. So this is our register, which is basically the sign up user. So for this, we will simply import each and everything from the Firebase Auth. So for this, for register, we will use a sign in, the create user with email and the password. So we will simply return that method, which is create user with email and the password. It will take a bunch of parameters inside of this function body. So it will take auth, that we have created the auth object in our application, which is a local firebase.js file. So this, it will require the auth, and it will take the email and the password. So let's add the argument of the email and the password like this, and just pass the same thing inside of this create user with email and a password method here. So let's copy it and simply paste it down here. So this is the register page. Similarly, for the authentication, for the sign in page, we will simply use this method we call a sign in with email provider. So here we will simply use sign in with email and the password. To sign in with the email and the password is basically takes three arguments. One is authentication, then another is email, and the password. Similarly, we will pass the email and the password like this from the foreign function argument. So let's add this email and the password. And the very last thing, the third thing is the logout. So for the logout, we will use simply the sign out method that we will directly get it from the Firebase Auth. So we can simply call this sign out method, and we will simply return that method. So let's add the return statement inside of this also. So this is how my login, sign up, and the logout functionality will work. And after that, we just want to update the email for the user. So for this updating email, we just added updating email like this. This is for the updating email. So let's create a function with the name of update email. So this is the function. Let's add the update user email is the name of the function. Similarly, we just want to update the password also. So for the password, we just simply add the updating password. So this is how we can simply update the password. Let's give the name of the function. So this is the function update user password like this. And this is how we can do this. And the last thing is the forget password functionality. So for this, let's add a comment for the forget password also. So this is for the forget password. So for the forget password, just add the function name, just give it the name forgot password like this. So we have created a very basic methods for each and every functionality. Now let's add the Firebase functionality for this. So for updating the email, we will simply return the method update user email. So update user email is the method that we have created it locally, and for updating the email, we will use update email, which is the method that we will simply get it from the Firebase authentication module. So it will take the two argument, the user that we already have the user in our user state. So it will take two things, user and the updated email. So here it will take two arguments. So let's pass the two arguments, user and the email. Similarly, for the password, it takes user and the password. We take two things, user and the password, the new password. So for this, we'll simply call a update password method, which is exported from the Firebase authentication module. So it will also take two object inside of this argument. First one is the user, and the second one is the password. And the very last thing is for the forget password. For sending the email, we just simply need to add a return of. So just add the return send password email. So send password reset email will take two arguments. One is the authentication object, and another is the email that we will simply provide here inside of our form. So this is how all the functionalities that we have created here for right from the creating user till updating or simply forgetting for adding the functionality for the forget password till then, right? So we have all these methods here. Now the next thing, we just need to pass all these methods and this object then and this state inside of our value. So let's pass each and everything inside of this value. The first one is user, another is login, log out, sign, update user email, update user email. Similarly, we will have update user password. Similarly, we will have this register and forgot password. So these are the bunch of the methods we have passed it as a value, and it will be simply accessible to all the component tree deep down that will be wrapped inside of this AuthContext.js. So for this, let's save this auth context, go back to our app.js, and here or else we can simply wrap it inside of this index.js, right? So we can simply wrap it inside of this index.js, or else we can simply wrap it inside of this app.js. So let's wrap this auth context inside of this app.js. So for this, let's remove this div for this app, and here we will simply add a auth provider, and we'll simply import the auth provider from the context here. Okay, so now we will simply put everything inside of this auth provider like this. Okay, we will have a bunch of URL. So for this, we just want to navigate like this. We have this dashboard page, which is a private route actually, and this is this update profile. Now you can see here, this is switched back to this update profile. Now when you click on this back to profile, now you can see this. So this is how we just need to add these routes inside of this. So for this, we will use the React router DOM, which is the version 6 for this. So you just need to import the React router DOM, and along with this React router DOM, we will simply install a bunch of React router DOM. So for instead of this, we will simply install the bunch of dependencies we will simply required here to build this UI. So this is the very first, this is the React router DOM and mdb React UI kit. So mdb React UI kit provides the bootstrap and the material design, both of these things inside of this UI kit. So it is very flexible to create a very nice page or very nice front end without any configuration or complex configurations here. Okay, so we have done with this. So React router DOM on the mdb React UI kit, both of things have been installed properly here. Now the next part is we just need to import the CSS of this mdb React mdb UI kit inside of this index.js. So for this, we just need to import it. So this is how you can simply import the minified CSS for this before starting or using our React UI kit. So it will simply you just need to simply import this min.css inside of this index.js at a very top level. Okay, now let's move back to our app.js. Let's save this. Let's go back to this app.js. So let's create a very top level container for this. So for this, we will use the mdb container. So let's create an mdb container, and let's import the mdb container from the React mdb React UI kit. So let's import from mdb React UI kit. So we will use the mdb container. So this is mdb container. Oh, sorry, mdb container. So here inside of this, we just simply make the mdb container at the very top of that, and inside of this, we have this auth provider, right? So this is our mdb container, and this is our auth provider. Okay, so mdb container, and inside of this, we have this auth provider, and we just want our routes or the our routes to be implemented here. So for this, we will use the React router DOM. So let's import these things, these things also. So this is our React router DOM, and instead of this React router DOM, we will be using a browser router. So we'll use the browser router as, let's create the aliases for this. So we'll use the browser router, we'll use the routes, and we will use a route here. Okay, so we will simply use this browser router as a router. So we will simply wrap this auth provider, and here we will simply use this router, and we will simply put back this auth provider inside of this router. Now we can simply create each and every route inside of this auth provider, right? So here we will have all these routes. So this we have this all this route, and inside of this route we will have the particular route for each and every page, right? So very first page I will just create our login page. So here you just simply need to give the path. So for the path we'll simply give this login, and similarly we will simply add a element, and here we will simply add a login element which we will create here, right? So we will simply create this login element with login component. So for this let's create a component with the name of component. Let me just name it the components, and inside of this component let me just create a login component. So for this we will simply create a, let's add a simple react functional component, let's snipe it here. So here we have this login.js, and here for this we'll just simply add the bunch or the demo code. So this is the login page, this is the login page, and this is how you can simply do this. Okay, now let's go back to our app.js, and here you can see we have this, and now you can simply point out and here we can simply point the component name here. So the component name is login. So here we will simply import the login here, right? So we have this route for the login which is perfectly created here. Okay, now the next thing you just need to do, which is I will open this UI side by side so that you will simply see whatever is going there. So here we have this MDB container. So here for the MDB container we will add a bunch of styling. Let's give the class name of display of flex, and just simply align all the items to the center. So we will simply add the align items to the center, simply add the justify content to the center also, right? So there will nothing be shown as of now, but here we just simply add the login. So let's add this login here. Now click this. Now you can see here this is the login page that is come at the very center of this, but we don't want this default styling for this. So for this we'll simply, let's go back, let's go to this app.js, sorry, inside of this app.css, and here we'll simply copy each and everything. Let's comment it. Now save this, and we just want we didn't want this default styling, and here we have added the justify content center, align item center, so that's why it is at the center of the screen. Now when I just remove both of these things, now let's save this, you will see here this thing is now here comes here, but there is a slight padding that comes here. So to remove that you just need to simply go back to your index.css, and here you will simply add the margin or the padding. Let's add the padding of 0 and margin, let's add the padding of 0, oops, sorry, semicolon, and margin is also 0. So for all the pages that we will be using here, we just want to simply neglect all the default stylings, right? So let's go. So before doing anything, just import all the things that we will require for creating this login component. So let's import it from the MDB React UI kit, and here we will simply import each and everything like MDB container. So very first thing is the MDB container, then we will be using the MDB card, and inside of this MDB card we will use the MDB card title. So we will using the MDB card title. Similarly we will use the MDB card body, MDB card body. We will using the MDB footer, card footer, right? We will using the MDB input. You can see here we have this input also. So we will be using the MDB input icon. input field, we will using the button. You can see here we have this button, so we'll use the MDB button. And we have this typography, the statement like the error code or the success messages that will become, we will use for this MDB typography here. Okay, so we have this login, and here we will simply first of all create our MDB container for this. So here we have this MDB container, or inside of this MDB container we will have our MDB card. So here we have this MDB card. Inside of this MDB card we will have our card title. So let's add the MDB. We'll just simply create a simple skeleton. Basically the skeleton we will simply create, and then we will add the content in that. So we have this title. Similarly we will have this card body. So for this we will have this MDB card body. So we have this MDB card body, we have this title, and we will have the footer. So let's add the MDB card footer. So these things we have just mentioned here. So we have this MDB card container. Inside of this card, then we have title, we have body, and we have this footer. That's it. So inside of this card we will have a strong tag. So let's add a strong tag inside of this title. Let me just add a strong tag, and let's give it the name of a strong, just simply give the name of the strong, like login. So we have just added the login here. So here you can see this is the login page. Now let's save this. You will see we have this login coming right down right here. Okay, the next thing is our card body. So inside of this card body we will simply wrap each and everything inside of this form element. So we have this form. Let me add this. We have this form. Sorry, we have this form, but inside of this form we have a bunch of input. So we have this MDB. So we have this MDB input, and here we have two input, one for the email and another for the password. So let's copy and paste it for the same. So we have this email. We have this input, one for the email and one for the password, and we can simply add a self closing tag. So we don't need to put another tag here. So this is a self closing tag. So for this you just simply do this, right? So we have this MDB input for one for the email and one for the password here. So here we will simply give a bunch of options like the value for the email. Then we will simply give on change functionality. So we will simply create a state for the email. So let's create a state for the email. So set email. We will simply use this state to store our email like this. Then we will call the same thing for the password. So we have this password and set password. Set password. So here we will simply do the use state, and here we have this email and the password, and initially both of these are empty. So for the very first of this we will have this email, then we will have this email value, and we will simply add the on change functionality for this. So on changing, so for let's add the on change. So on change we will simply set the state, right? So we will simply set the email state here. So we have this, let me add it, e dot target dot value, right? So here we have these things here. Let me add the type. So basically the type will be email. So we have the type of email, and we have the label. So let's add the label. Just give it the name, label name. Enter your email like this. Now let's save this. Okay. Let me import the user state. Now let's save this. We have this email input here, and we have this label, which is a very nice looking UI, right? So we have this input of this, and now we just want to give the size of LG. So this is the long size, and this is required. So for this we just simply add a required field here like this. Okay, similarly the same thing we will use for this password kind of thing also. Instead of this we will have, okay, let me adjust the alignment. So we will have this, instead of this email we have this password, and instead of this set email we have this set password, and for this type we will have this password, and here we will simply add a enter your password. Now let's save this. So we have this password field and we have this input field here, right? So both of these things here, now it is not looking as promising as we expected here. So for this we will simply add the style right from the container. So here we will simply give the display of flex, and look, okay, we'll need to just simply give the class name display of flex, and here we'll simply give the align items to the center, and justify content to the center also. Now let's save this. You will see here we have this very nice thing, but we just want to add a minimum width of the card. So we'll simply add the style of, and let me just give the hard coded width is just give it the 600 pixel. So this is the hard coded card width that we have given, 600 pixel, and here we have this strong which is this, and here we will simply add a class name, or let me add the inline style for this. So let me add this the font weight. So this is the font weight. So font weight, just simply give the font weight of 400, so it will look crispier, more crispier, and just simply give the color is of black, absolute black, and then we will simply give the margin from the bottom. It is looking like this, so let's give the margin bottom of 10 pixel. Okay, now it will look way far away from this, so we have just given the margin bottom of 10 pixel. Okay, for this title we will simply give the class name. We just simply want to give the margin top from top. We just need simply give the margin top of 2, and here we will simply add a text center class name, so it will simply centrally align the text here. So we have this login, and we have this input field, and here for the input field we have this form, and for this form we have this class, we have this two input field, and here we'll simply give the class name to give the margin from the top of this. So let's give the class name margin top of 2. Now let's save this. It is now well separated from this, or else you can simply increase the margin from for the email or the password. You just add the margin top from 3 pixel. Now it looks perfect, and then after that we will have a, let me add just a div. So let me just create a div, or inside of this div we will have a link for the forget password. So we will simply add a link for the forget password, and we will simply redirect the user to the forget password route. So this is will be the forget password, and here we'll simply give a forget password like this. Forgot password, and there is the question mark. Right, let's import the link from React router DOM. So we have imported the link from the React router DOM here. Okay, so we have this link inside of this div, and here after this link we will have a button for login. So we will have this button, mdb button, and the name of the button, just give it the login. Now let's save this. We have this link and we have this button, but it is not aligned properly. So for this we will simply add a inline style for this div, or else we can simply give the class name. So let's give the class name, same class name that we have given for the container. Let's copy the same thing for the container and just simply give the exactly the same thing for this div. Instead of this we just simply update this justify content end, so it will be very well separated, and it will be now aligned to the very right of your card. and this is how you can simply align it to the very right. And then we have the next thing. You can see here there is it is now attached to the input field. So let's give the margin so that it will be simply be away from the top. So let's give the margin top. So let's give the margin top empty of 2. So now it is well separated here. Okay, so for the link we just simply give the margin from the end. So let's give the margin from the end of 2, and this is the margin from the end of this. So it is now well separated from here. So we have done with this login page, but for this we just simply want the button to be mode style. For this button we will simply add the type of submit. So it will be work when we hit the enter button, and let's give the class name. Oh, sorry, let's add the outline of none. So the outline of outline will outline will simply give the outline, and we'll simply want this rounded border. So for this we'll simply add the rounded. Let me save this. So this is rounded. Now you can see here it is looking like this, but we just want the font to be somehow bold enough for more visibility. So for this we will simply give the font weight, or simply increase the font weight of 600. So it is now more bolder. Now you can look, this is our login component that is built it here. Similarly, we will have a footer section. For this we will simply add a link for the registration or the sign up page, right? So for the footer part, we just simply create a div. Let me just copy this same div and paste it down here. So we have this div. Let me close this div tag. So here we have this div, or inside of this div we will have, instead of this justify content and we just want to centrally align this. So we will simply add the justify content to the center, and we just simply remove this margin top of 2 from here, and in the center we will have a simple thing. We'll just simply add a span. So inside of this span we will have a new here. So if you are new here, we just simply want to redirect the user to the registered page. So we just simply add the link, and inside of this link we add another span. So let's add a span, and here for this span we just simply give the register like this. Now let's save this. Okay, this link should be given any path. So let's give the path of register. Now let's save this. You will see we have this footer, but for footer is the new here, or the register is not separated from each other. So for this we just simply give a class name here. So let's give the class name margin end of 1. So it will be now well separated from the register, and now when you click on this register we will be redirected to the register field. So for this you just simply need to go back to your app.js and just simply copy the same login path. So simply copy the same thing and paste it down, and instead of this login just add the register. So this is our register component, and instead of this login it will be simply redirected to the register component. Okay, so for this you just need to create a component. So let's go back to your component folder, and inside of this component folder just create a register.js. So we have this register.js, and everything will be same exactly like login. So let's copy each and everything from the login and paste it inside of this register. Instead of this login we have a simple two things. First is the email, and the password is exactly the same. We will have one more field which will be the confirm password. So we will have a conf password, set conf password, right? So let me just use this state, add this empty string. Okay, now let's save this. Instead of this login just rename it to register, and instead of this here also it should be it should be registered. Similarly for the export statement, okay, already have the export statement at the very top. So we have this registered here, and similarly we will have a same input field. Let's copy one more input field. and here we'll simply paste this, and here this will be a set conf password, and this will be a conf password, right? And then in the login part, where we will have this register, so this will be our register, and we didn't have this forget password. Now let's remove this, and inside of this footer we will here simply add already a member, already joined. So here we simply give the login, and we will simply redirect it to the login page. So that's it. This is our register page. So for this, let's go back to your app.js, and here you just need to simply import this register here. Now let's save this. You will see we have saved this. Now when you click on this register, you will see we are redirected to the register page. When you click this login, we will be redirected back to our login page. So this is how slick, how fast you can simply create a component using this MDB UI React kit. So this is a very powerful npm package to create your application very fast, very smartly, and it will simply saves a lot of code for creating the CSS and a bunch of the things here. So we are done with this login creation of the login component or the register component. Next, we will simply create our dashboard page. So to create a dashboard page, we just need to implement the login or the register functionality with the Firebase. So let's go back to our register page, and here inside of this register component, we just want to implement the Firebase integration for user registered. So how we can simply achieve this? So for this, we just simply need to create or simply import the register method from the context that we have passed directly to this component with this child props or the child link. So for this, we will simply import or simply use AuthContext hook. So this AuthContext hook will provide the method which is a register or simply the sign up method. So this is our sign up method. Let me check whether it is register or the sign up. So let's go back to our authcontext.js. So this is our value. So here we have this register, not the sign up. Okay, let's go back to our this, and here we have this register, right? So we will simply destructure the register from the use auth hook that we have created inside of our auth context, right? So here inside of this registered, we will simply add the method on the form. So when click on this submit, we will simply create a method called handle submit for creating the user. So for this, you just simply call this method called handle submit. Okay, let me create this method handle submit, and here we will simply pass the event as an object, and here we will simply add the event default for any browser rendering issues. So we have just added a synthetic event, which is a synthetic method, that is event.prevent default. Okay, so this is our handle submit method, and here we will simply use our register method to simply authenticate the user or simply create the user inside of our application. So for this, we will simply simply create a async method. So this is our async method, and here we will simply call await register, and here we will simply pass the email and the password, and this email or the password will only be this method will only be called when we have this password and the confirm password will match. So we will add this validation on the button. So we will simply create disabled, simply make the button disabled when until the email or until the password or the confirm password matches, right? So we have this register here. So for this, we will have two things. One we will receive the error. So for this we will simply create a state for the error. So let me add the user state of this. Okay, so we have this error object. So when we will get when we will simply get the error, we will simply store the error inside of this, and we will simply use the error show the error inside to our front end, right? So here we will simply add this. Okay, so let me just check it once. We will add the validation on the button too, but we will simply check this. If password is not equal to confirm password, so we will simply add the error statement, type the password does not match, like this. Okay, and if this condition false, then we will be throwing the user to register, and here we'll simply pass the email and the password when this successful registration will be done. So let's add let's add a then. So when this will be successfully registration will be successfully done, we will simply navigate the user to the dashboard page. We will simply create the dashboard page now. So let's create a navigate. So this is our navigate. We will use it from the use navigate, and we will simply import it from the React router DOM. And here we will simply navigate the user to the dashboard page, which will be the home page, or we will simply add the forward slash. We will simply add the forward slash like this. So this will be our home page, and if any error comes, simply catch that error. So for this we will simply add a catch, and here we will simply set the error object like this, and here we will simply add the error dot to string here. Okay, so this is our simple the registration method. So for creating the user from here, so here inside of this after this title, we will simply add our error statement, or whatever the error we will simply get. We will simply show the error right here. So if we have this error, we will simply call this mdb typography. So here we have this mdb typography. Let's add a class name. Let's add a class name and just give it, let's give the margin start 4 and margin end me of 4, like this. And here we will simply give it act like a note, and just give the note color danger, like this. Okay, and here we will have this strong, and inside of this strong we will have error, and here this is our error statement. This is how we can simply add this. Now let's save this. You will see here, this is the email, this is the password, and when I click on this register, you will see this field is mandatory. So you just need to add this password field. So let me add this password here. Now let's click on this register. You will see the password does not match. So here the password does not match. When you click on this register, you will see password does not match, which is this is coming. Now let's add the set error. So when I click on this, we just want to update the error state also. So let's save this. Now click on this register. Now let's refresh this. Okay, so here let me add this one more time. Then click on this register. You see password does not match. Okay, now let's check the user this registration is working or not. So you just need to simply click on this. Here is this email. Let me just add another email. @gmail.com, and here is this password 12345. Let me add this password. Now click on this register. You see the error will be coming from the Firebase calls. The password should be at least 6 character. So at least 6 character we should be required for the password. Now let's click on the register. Now you will see the registration is successful, and we are and we are back to our home page, but if nothing is there inside of this home page, so we will there is nothing has been shown here. Now let's check in the Firebase console whether this registration has been done successfully or not. So for this you just need to go back to this React Firebase console, and now here you will simply refresh it. Now you will, when you refresh this, you will see here this email that I have added here. So this email that I have registered now. So this is the email that we are talking about. So it is now coming here. So registration part is done. So we are successfully registered it, right? So we have successfully registered it. So the registration part is done. So now let's move to our login functionality. So for the login functionality, we will simply copy the same thing, the error or the navigate. Let's go back to our login.js, and here our login.js. Here simply click on this, and let's import the use navigate here. Okay, so we have imported the use navigate here, and now when I click on this, you can see here we have this registered here. Okay, so we will add form submission here. So on submit, let me add the on submit, let's add the handle submit here, and here we will simply call the method. Let's call this handle submit. Here we will simply pass event as an object, and here we have this e.prevent default, exactly the same thing that we have did for the registered here. So for the login, we will simply use let me call this await, and this will be await, and here we just simply add to async here. Okay, so for this we have this await, and here we will simply register, simply log in the user. For this we will use the login. So for using the login, we just need to import the login from the use auth. So let's import. So let's first of all let's destructure it from the use auth that we have created the hook, context hook basically. So here we have this, and here we have this login, right? So we have this login method, and login method takes two arguments. One is email, another is password. So we have email and the password. So here when on successful login, we will simply navigate the user to the home page, or else if there is any error, let me catch the error, just catch this error and set the error inside of this. Let me add this error dot to a string, and whenever there will be any error comes here, we will simply add the error statement here. So here if we got any error, we will simply use this mdb typography, and here we will show that particular error, and here we will simply add the strong. Similarly, exactly the same thing that we have actually did for the register, we will simply add the strong. Here we have this error, and here the actual error comes. Right, now let's update the state. When we click on this, so let's set the error back to its normal state. Got it. Okay, so we have this login here. When we click on this login, we will simply log in, and when we will simply successfully log in, we will simply navigate to our home page. We will create the home page later, but let's add the functionality as of now. Now let's save this, go back to register. Now this is our login, and here we will simply need to logged in here. So let me add the email 1 2 3 4 5. Now let's copy this, and now let me click the login here. When we click on this login, you see here the password user not found. So for this it is not looking as exactly what we want. So here we will simply add a note, and note color. Let me add the note color danger. Now you can see here it is now looking perfect. but we just want to give the margin from the start or the end. So let's give the margin from the start of 4 or margin end of also 4. Now let's save this. You will see it is exactly looking perfect as we wanted it. Okay, now you can see here we have this error comes which is user not found. Okay, so exactly the user is with this, and here is this password for this. Now click on this login. Here you can see also the user not found. Okay, I just forgot, simply forgot the password, but actually I entered here. So I think let me add this 5. Now let's click on this login. Okay, user not found. 1 2 3 4. Okay, let me just log in one more time. User not found. I just forgot the password actually. Literally I forgot the password. What we have entered here. Okay, now let's create another. Let me just create another e21@gmail.com, and the password we have just added. Okay, now let's click on the register, and we have successfully registered here. Okay, now we will just need to simply test the login also. So let me just add this login. For this we just add a gmail.com and password. Let me add the password also. Now we are done. So here the error is not coming, means we have redirected back to our home page, means we have successfully logged in. Now the next and the very most important thing is just create a private route. So for creating the private route, we just need to take two few things in our mind. So the private route is basically for those authenticated user. So after the successful authentication, the user will be landed to the home page, and the home page is the private under the private route. So basically the private route protects that particular page to be accessed from the unauthenticated user. So for this you just need to create a private route. So let's create a file with the name of private route.js, and here we will simply create RFCE, and here we will simply create a private route component, and here we will simply remove this, and first of all we will simply import the user, we'll simply destructure the user that we will simply get from the auth context. So here we will simply call the use auth, and here we will simply get the user. So when we have this user, we will simply add this. So when we have this user, okay, and let me just add this children. We will have the children prop, or the simply we have the component tree, right? So when we have this user, we just want to render the children like this, or else when we didn't have this user, we just want to simply navigate the user. So let's add the navigate the user to the login page. That's it. That's the simple logic. You just need to navigate. Let me just import the navigate from React router DOM and navigate the user to simple simple login path. Now let's save this. When we didn't have this user, we will simply redirect it to this login page. Now when you refresh this, you will be simply seeing we have this user. So that's why we have inside of this children that is running down there. So for this, let's go back to our app.js here, and you just need to add the private route here. So how you can add the private route? It is very simple. Let's create exactly the route, exactly the same thing. Just add the path, and path is this home page, and here we have this element. So inside of this element, we will simply nested or simply wrap our dashboard page, or we can simply call the landing page, with this private route. So how you can do this? So simply create a private route like this and simply wrap this. Let me configure it. So here we have this private route, and here we'll simply wrap the private route with this whatever the component. We will simply create, let's create a component with the name of dashboard. So here this is the dashboard component, and this dashboard component is only accessible when the user is successfully logged in. So let's create the dashboard.js. So let's create the dashboard.js inside of this component. Okay, dashboard.js, and here just create this, and here just simply give the simple dummy text. We just simply give the dummy text here. This is the dashboard page like this. Now let's save this. So here we have saved this, and here inside of this app.js, let's import the dashboard. So let's save this, and here you can see here this is the dashboard page that is coming here. Right now, let's add the let's create the dashboard component here. So let's remove this. So for the dashboard, we will have exactly the same thing as of for the register. We will have exactly the same thing for the dashboard, but only the simple thing, only the most of the thing that is not required, we will simply remove that. So here we will be using this container. Because we will require the container here. So let's me import the thing, that is this import statement is will simply required here. Let's import this. Okay, we don't need this navigate. Let's remove this. Now let's save this, go back to our dashboard.js, and here we will simply, you can see here we have a bunch of things that is required for the dashboard component, and we have simply exactly copy the exactly the same thing from the registered. So whatever thing that we will required for the registered thing, registered page, we have added exactly here. So here we didn't have any error statement. So let's remove this error like this, and we didn't have any form. So let's remove the form also. We will have this footer section. So let's import the link for this, and here we will simply want the user to update the profile. So we will simply add the update profile, and here we will simply revert the user to this update profile page, and here we will simply give the update. Right, so here we have these things here, or else we can simply add a more generic form, that is a need changes. Let's add the need changes, and here we will simply redirect the user to the update profile page, which we will create later. Okay, so instead of this register, we have this user profile. Now let's save this. You can see here we have this user profile, and we have a user also have a bunch of information for the user we have inside of our user estate that we have created in our auth context. So when you do the console log for the user, you will get all the important all the state, or the simply all the information of that particular user who is currently logged in. So here inside of this body, let's create a div. Okay, let's create a div here, and inside of the div we just want to show the image here. So let's add the image tag. Okay, let me add the self-closing tag. So we'll just want to show the image, which is a dummy image here, and after that image we just want to show the name of the user. So we'll simply add it inside of this span, and then we will simply add a button for the logout. So let me add the button. So mdb button, mdb button. So here we will simply add mdb button for the logout here. So this will be for our logout. Now let's save this. So here this is our logout button that is here. Okay, so we just want to style this. So here we will simply add the style, and here we will simply give the flex direction of column. So we just want everything to be in a column manner, column wise. So we have added this flex direction of column. Okay, now here for this image, we just add the source. and then we will have this alt of this, that is the logo, or simply called the profile image, like this. And here we have this span, and for the span we just take the email, or we simply split the email in two part, one before the symbol and another is the @. So for this uh, we just simply need to typecast the email of the user. So how we can do this? So here inside of this we have the user. So first of all, to use the user, you just simply import or simply destructure the user. So let's destructure the user and get it from the, okay, let's get it from the use auth context that we have created, and let's import this auth context. Let me just remove this input and this typography as of now. So now let's save this. You can see here we have this. Okay, so we have this thing here. We have this user, and here we have this. Inside of this user we will have this email, and we just want this email to split. So let's just split, let's just split the email from this special character, that is the @, and we just want to take the very first part of that character. Now you can see this is the name of that particular character here. Okay, so we have this display of column here. Let me add this click direction of column. Let me add the class name here. So for the class name we just want to simply give the display of flex. And now let's save this. It is now in the flex, and here we just simply give the align items to the center. So it will simply all the items will be centrally aligned. So align all the items to the center, and justify content to the center also. Justify content and center. Okay, so now everything is now centrally aligned here, and then we have this image source. So we will simply add the image here. So here let's just paste the URL of the image. So this is the URL of the image that I have pasted. Now let's save this. So this is the image. Okay, but we just want this image to be rounded. So let's give the class name of rounded circle. Rounded circle. So it will be now rounded here. Okay, and we just simply specify the width of the image. So let's specify the width of 150. Just maintain the aspect ratio. So we have this width of 150 here. We just added it here, and we just want to give a simple shadow on the image. So for give a very nice UI or very nice 3D effect. So we have added the shadow here. Shadow. Now let's save this. You can see here there is a very nice shadow here that is coming along there. Okay, now for this span we just want a bunch of class name to be included for this. So we just want to give the span of the h3 and margin top of 2. Now let's save this. It is now well separated from the image here, and now you can see it. Now you can see this, and we have this button. For this button we have just give the class. Okay, just add the class name of margin top of 3. Now let's save this. It is now well separated from the top, and now we can simply add a bunch of attribute. So we just want outlined button. So here is this outline, and we just want this rounded. So here is this rounded. Now you can see here we have this logout here. Okay, and now we just want the logout functionality to be implemented. So how we can do this? So you just simply need to click add on click functionality, and when we click on this, we just want to call the logout method that we have created inside of our context, right? So inside of our auth context we have created our logout method. So we will simply call this logout method when we click on this logout button. So we have done with this. Now when I click on this logout, let me just click this. So I think there is a error coming. Let me check what the error is actually coming. Cannot read properties of undefined sign out. Okay, let's check this method. So let's go back to our authcontext.js, and inside of this auth context we have this sign out. Okay, signout sign out. Okay, we have this sign out method, and we have imported the sign out method from this auth context. Oops, my bad here. The sign out method takes an argument which is auth object. So you just need to pass the auth object as the argument inside of this sign out method. Now let's save this, go back to our dashboard.js. Now let's click on this logout, and now you can see we have successfully logged out and we are back to our login page here. Let me just do it one more time. So let's log in one more time here, and here we just add the password. Now click on this enter. Now we have successfully logged in. Now let's click on this logout. Now we are successfully logged out. Now the next thing that we just need to add this functionality, the forgot password. So for forget password, we just need to create a component. We just simply create a component for the forget password. So let's create a component forgot password.js. It is a very simple. Now let's create a functional component, a snippet for this, and instead of this forgot password, just remove everything here, and let's copy the same thing what we actually have for this register. So let's do the same thing, just copy the same thing for this and paste inside of this forget password. And for this forget password, what let me just go back to our register.js, just import these things here that we are required here. So let's copy, go back to this, here and just simply import, simply add this. Okay, now we have this error statement also. So layer, we just simply create and state. So simply add the const error, set error, and let me add this use state, and it will simply import the use state from the React. Okay, so we have this error here, so we just added it here, and we have only a single input. Basically we just want the email of the user for which the user want to reset their account, right? So for this we just add a single input which is an email. So for this you just simply create another state for the email. So let's create another state for the email, set email, and here we have this user state. Okay, so we have this email that we have already created here, and then we have on submit. So here we have this, simply click on the method, create a method called handle submit, and here we will simply pass event as an object, and here we will simply do e.prevent default, sorry, e.prevent default, like this. So this is done here. Instead of this register, we have instead of this already joined, we just want to back to our profile. So here we simply add a back to, and here we will simply add to the profile, and here we will simply add a home page exactly like this. And let's do this, import the link from the React router DOM. Or instead of this register, we will have reset here. So we have just added the reset here, right? So we are done with this forget password here. Now let's click on this. When you click on this forget password, okay, there is an error. Let me see what's the error is coming. Okay, let's open, and here let me refresh this page one more time. Okay, this is the forget password. Okay, I got that. We have not added this route inside of our app.js. So for this, let's go back to our app.js, and here we just need to simply create another route for the forget password, which will not be a private route, it will be a public route. So here we will simply add a forget password, and here we will have this forget password component will import from here. Now let's save this. Let's go back to here, and now click on this forget password. Okay, we have added a wrong path. It is a forgot password, not forget password. Now let's save this. you can see here we have this email, and we just simply add the email. When I click on this reset, you will see this email. On this email, we will simply receive a mail which basically reset our password here, right? Okay, now let's go back. So here we will call async method. Let me call it this async, and here we will call our, first of all, let's set the error, bring it back to its normal state, and here is the success also. We'll simply create another state for the success also. So let's add the const. Okay, or else we can have a general message statement. So we can simply add a general message. So for this, we'll simply send a set response. So we will have a general response. Either it will be a success or it will be a failure, right? So we will simply add a response like this. Okay, now let's update the response like this, and here we will simply call a method called forget password that we have created. The forget password in our we have just created this forget password method in our context that we have created here. So let's import it. So for that, we just need to do the just destructure it, and here we will simply call the use auth. So here it is, use auth is the context that we have created here. This is basically a hook to call all this method that we have created here. So we have this forgot password, and here inside of this forgot password, it takes only one argument, which is the only email. So let me go back to this forget password definition. So let's go back to the use auth, and here inside of this use auth, you can see here we have this forget password. It takes only one argument, which is the email that we will provide here inside of this. So let's go back to this forget password here, and we have this email, and on the successful running of this function, so when we successfully set the email, and we will simply get the response. So we'll simply set the response, update the response, and we'll simply add the check inbox for further further instruction like this. So we have added this set inbox for the further check inbox for the further instruction, and if we get any error, so we'll simply catch that error. So we will simply catch the error here, and we will simply set the response like this, error dot message, right? So this is the error that we will get it from there. So we have added this. Okay, so we are done with this email sending process. Now let's save this, and if you didn't receive the email, do check the spam first of all. So all the email that you will receive from this Firebase, I think most of the time you will get the email directly in your spam. So basically you just need to check the spam once, right? Now we have this handle submit here. Now let's save this. Let's add an email. So let's add the email of this gmail.com. Now hit the reset enter button. Now you can see here, oh, okay, the error, it is coming error. We didn't want to show this, so let's remove this error statement, and if we get this response, we just want to remove this danger also. We just simply give it dark. Now let's say this. Now it says check inbox for the further instruction. So we will simply receive the email on this, but this email does not actually exist. So you just need to provide a valid email. So here we will simply provide a valid email here. So let's provide the valid email, gmail.com. Okay, Firebase error. Okay, user not okay. It is email. Sorry, it is Gmail. Now hit the enter button. Now here we will definitely receive an email. Now I will show you the email that I receive here. So guys, you can see here, this is the email that I have received here, which is 0 minutes ago. And when I click on this link that we get in the email, and here we will get the simple prompt to simply add a password. So you can simply add the password here. So let's add the password. Now let's save this. When you can see here, this is the password now. It has been successfully changed here. So reset of our reset or simply forget password is now done from this. And now the only thing that is left, we just need to create or simply add a method. We just need to simply add a method for the user to update its profile, like the email or the password. So how the user can update the profile. So for updating the profile, we just simply need to okay, now let's click on this login once again. Okay, I think I am accidentally logged out. Okay, I think we have added a wrong path there. Okay, let me remove this. First of all, let me log in from the email that we have reset here. So we have reset that particular account. So now let's log in with that account using the credentials. Now we have successfully logged in with the updated password that we have provided in the reset of email. And now we have this update profile. So for this update profile, we just need to go back to our reset forget password page, and here we have this profile. So it will be simply redirect back to our home page, and here inside of this dashboard page we have this update profile. So update profile will be redirected us to the update profile page, which is perfect. Now let's click on this update profile, and we didn't have this update profile page, so you just need to create a update profile page. So let's create this. So we have this update profile update profile.js. So we have this update profile.js, and here we will simply create a sample functional component as snippet. So this is very simple functional component as snippet here. Let's just remove this, and instead of this we will simply copy exactly the same thing of what we have here inside of this profile. So just copy it and paste it down here, and just grab everything of this like this. Just copy it and paste it down here inside of this profile page also. Right, so this is our profile page. So here is our profile update page. So here is our profile update page, and there is a bunch of things we just didn't want to show. First of all, let's import the user from the use auth. Let's import the user, or simply get the user. So here we have this. We'll simply get the user from the use auth. We'll simply call the context API for this. What we have created here, this is basically the hook to get the user details. So we have this user, and now here we will simply remove this logout button. From here we'll simply show the we will only show the image of the user, not the name or email also. So let's remove this also, and I don't think it is required now. So let's remove this, or else we can simply show the whatever the UI you prefer. You can simply add that. So there is not a hard and fast. So let me add just keep the email of the user, or simply the username too. Okay, now we are we can simply import this link, and here we can simply add a back to profile. Let's click the back to, and in here we will simply add the back to profile, and we will simply redirect to the user to the home page. Right, now let's save this, and here to add this you just need to go back to our app.js, and here we will need to create a private route, because the user only update their profile once the user is authenticated, right? So we will simply need to do this. So for this we just need to add the update profile, and here we will simply add a update update profile. Right, now let's save this. Now you can see here we have this update profile here, and let's update some more information also on this. So here we have this user profile, so we can simply add update profile title. Now it will look more relevant here. Okay, now we just want to update the email and the password, and for that we just want to create a tab exactly to achieve this. So for that we will use the mdb tabs here. So here let me just import the mdb tabs. So we'll use the mdb tabs, and inside of this mdb tabs we will also require mdb tabs items. Mdb tabs item we will require the mdb tabs link, right? So we will require these things: mdb tabs, mdb items, or mdb tabs link here. Okay, now let's go back to here, and here we will simply add the tabs. Okay, so here we will simply add the tabs. So we will have this mdb tabs, and instead of this mdb tabs we will have our items. So let me just add this mdb tabs item. So we will have this mdb tab item, and inside of this mdb tab item we will have our mdb tab links. Mdb tabs link, exactly like this, right? So we have two tabs, so we will simply copy this and paste it down here. So we will have two tabs, so that we have this thing. Now let's save this. We have these two tabs, and now we will simply give the name of the tabs here. So we'll simply add a fill property for this, and we'll simply give the margin bottom of 3 pixel. So we will simply give mb3. So we have this mdb tabs, and inside of this mdb tabs we have this mdb items, and here inside of this mdb tab link, which is the first name of the tab, we just give it the update email, and another name for the tab we will give update password. So we have two tabs: update email and the update password, like this, right? Okay, and now we will simply create an state for the update for the tabs for the tab. So for this we will simply create a state for the active tab functionality. So we have this active fill active, set fill active, and here we will simply make the use state. So here we will simply create a use state, and initially we just want the tab 1 to be active by default, right? So we have added this tab 1, and now for this tab link, here we will simply add a active key, or simply you can call a active attribute. And here for this active, let me just add this, and here for this active attribute we will simply equate it, or simply add a validation for this. So if we have this fill active equal to if this equal to tab 1, then if this tab should be active. Now you can see here this tab is active, and it is have an underlined bar here. Similarly we can do the same thing for this second tab also. So here for this we simply click on this, and here we will have an active tab 2. Now let's save this. When you click on the password, now it should be changed, but it is not changing. You just need to add an on click functionality to handle the tab also. So to handle the tab, you just need to set the activeness of the tab. So you just need to set it exactly like this, right? So here we will simply call a on click method. So for this on click method, we will simply call a method called handle fill click. So handle fill click takes an value, like we can simply pass the tab value. Basically the tab value is the tab 1 for this and the tab 2 for this, and this is how we can do this. So when we click on the second tab, we will do this and we will simply pass it second. Okay, now we will create a method called handle fill handle tag fill uh, fill click, and here we will have the value. Okay, so if the value equal to fill active, means whatever, if we have already active tab and we are clicking on that active tab, then we will simply return nothing. Else we will simply set our active tab to the whatever the value we will get. Now let's save this, and now when you click on this update password, now let's click on this update email. Now click on this update password. Okay, it should be tab 2. Let me check it once. It is tab 1, it is tab 2. Oops, there is a mistake. It should be active, so A is not there. Now let's save this. Now you can see here this update password is now active. So this is how we can add this thing here. And now we just need to add the content of the tab according to this. So to show the content, we just need to import a bunch of functionality for this. So we have this mdb content, mdb tabs content. So we will simply import mdb tab contents. Next we will need mdb tabs pane, and we require the mdb input, right? So here we will require this mdb input and mdb group, mdb input group. So we will simply show the button and the input inside a single line. So for that we will use this mdb input group here. Now let's go back to this tab, and after this tab we will show our tab content. So we have this mdb tabs content. Oops, sorry. So we have this mdb tabs content, and inside of this tabs content we have this tab pane. So we have this mdb tabs pane, and here for this mdb tabs pane, we just want to show this pane when we have this active tab equal to 1. So how we can show this? So we can simply add the show, and for this show, if this fill active equal to tab 1, then we just want to show the content of that particular tab inside of this, right? Similarly, just copy the same thing for the update password. We can simply do exactly the same thing for this. Let's paste this, and if it is equal to 2, then we will simply show that content here. So we have wrapped this inside of this our tab contents, and here inside of this very first pane, we just simply wrap it inside of our form, and here we will simply have this mdb input group, and inside of this input group we will have our input. So we will have our input. Oops, we will have our input, and we will have our mdb button. So here we have this mdb button. Because we are using the input group, so we can simply use the input field and the button in the same line. So here we will simply create an state for the email. So this is our set email, and now let's add the user state here. Similarly, we will simply set the password. So for this we have this password and set password user state like this. So we have this email and the password, and we have two methods we will simply call. So here for this input, let's add a value. So let's add the value like this. So here for this value we have this email, then we have on change. So on changing we will simply set the email which is e dot target dot value. Let's add the event as object here. So this is our input for the email here, and we will simply give the class name. So the class name is form control, and we will simply give the placeholder here. Let's give the placeholder, enter new email. Now let's save this. This is our content that I'm talking about here, and this MDB button, nothing but just simply you can simply give it the name update, and here we will simply give the outline. Now let's save this update here. Okay, and here we have this form. So we just need to add the type. So this type is submit. So type is basically submit, and on form submission, so on submit we just simply call handle email submit. Oops, there is an mistake in handle. Okay, so here we have this handle email submit. Now let's click a method called handle email submit, do this, and here we just pass the event as an object here, and here we have this event.prevent default like this. Okay, so we are done with this. Now we add the functionality. Let me add the functionality for the same password also. So let's copy the same thing and paste it down here, and here we just simply give the type of password, right? And here for instead of this set email, it should be set password, and instead of this email here, instead of this email we have this password. Now let's save this. We have this content for the password here, and instead of this enter the new email, here we just need to enter a new password also. Let me add this password. Now let's save this, and now you can see here we have this two field, that is the email, and here we have this password here, right? And here we have this back to profile. When you click on this back to profile, we are back to the profile. When you click on the update profile, we will get this email, and we have get this password here. So on this password here we will simply need to update it. So here we will have the handle password submit like this. Okay, so we have this email method, and now we have this handle password submit method. So we will call this is inside of this a, and here we will simply prevent it. So event.prevent default, and now we are done with this. So now we are need to only simply call the method called update user email, user email, and update user password. Let me check it once. Cross check the method name once. So here if you see, we have this update user password and update user email. It takes two arguments, user and the email. So exactly the user is already, we have this user here as an object and as an state here. So we have already this user here, and we just need to simply pass the email, right? So we can simply remove the user. We can here, let me just remove the user also, because with the user is already there. Now let's save this, go back to our update profile.js page, and now here we will simply call this method with the async, and here we will simply set the response here. So we have this response, and set response use state here. So we have this response and the set response here. So we will simply add it here. So if we have this response, we just want to show the whatever the response, we will get it from here, and we will simply add it inside of our MDB typography, and here we will have our response like this, and here we will simply add the note, and here is this note color will be dark, right? So here we will simply call this method using this await update user email, and here it will take only one argument, which is email, and on successful updation we will simply set the response. So let's set the response, email updated successfully, and you can simply update the response from there. Okay, so on click of this, we will simply show there the email set successfully, and let's update the response instead. We will now like this, and here we have this catch. Instead of this catch, we can simply have this error. If there will be any error, we will simply set the response with the error statement. So error dot message, whatever the error we will get. Okay, similarly we can do the same thing for the password also. So for this password, let me do check it this. So for this password, we can simply add update user password, and here we just need to pass only the password, right? And if you go back to this auth context here, now you can see here it only takes one argument, which is the password only. So we have just passed the password here, and now when on successful updation of the password, we will simply get the response, and we will simply set the response password updated successfully. So we will simply do this password updated successfully, exactly like this. And here we have this catch, and here for this catch we just need to catch the error, and here we have this response error dot message here. So we are done with this. Now let's save this, and let's save the error also, set the error to back to this previous state. Oops, my bad. Now let's save this. It is not error, I think it is response now. Now let's save this. Okay, so we are done with this. Now let's test it using this email. Now let's provide a malformed email that is not available on the console, so to check it is working or not. Now you can see here it is not working. It shows that auth requires a recent login because my token expired, so we cannot simply update the email. So for this, you just need to back to your profile, and now click on simply click on this logout, and here we simply add the style for this. So for this, we just keep the margin start for and margin end also for it. Now let's save this, and here we will simply first of all let's log in for this. So let me just log in. So here user not found. Oops, this is Gmail. So we have successfully logged in. Now click on the update profile, and here we have this email. So let me just update the email. I have 2 1, so I'll just add a 2 3, and here when you click on this update, now you can see here there is error, that is invalid email. Okay, now let's provide the valid email. So this is the valid email. Now let's click on this update. You can see the email updated successfully. Okay, let me check whether the email is updated successfully or not. So for this, you just need to go back to your console, and here let's refresh this, and here you can see this is the email that I have updated it here. Let me update it one more time with this. Now hit the enter button. Now you can see email is updated successfully. Now let's check whether it is updated or not. Let's reload it. Now you can see that this email is already updated now. So our update is perfectly working now. And one more thing, this is the password kind of thing. So for this password, let me just update the password. So here we have this update. Let me click the update for the password. Now you can see the password updated successfully, right? So password is also updated and email is also updated. Now I'm not be able to update log in with the previous credentials that we have logged in now. So for this you just need to re-log in with this new email or the password that you have already provided here. So for that you just need to log in from that particular thing, or else you can simply update the password with the wrong format. So for this you can see password should at least be 6 characters. So these things are fully validated or managed here. Now let's click on this profile, no thanks, click on the logout, and when you add simply add the previous credential that you have logged in earlier, you will simply get the error message that the email is not auth. Okay, let me add this, user not found. Okay, so when we have updated it with this email and the password is also been updated, so here is this password. Now let's click on this login. Okay, wrong password. Oof. I totally forgot the password. What the password as I just added it here. Okay, let me see. Okay, that's the correct password. Finally I logged in here, and now you can see here we are done with this. So we have covered the most of the concept for the authentication. And if you want some more authentication kind of thing, like the verification of the email before updating, or the login with the another sign-in providers like Google authentication, or the Facebook authentication, Twitter, or the Apple authentication, do comment below your suggestion. I will definitely create on one more part of for the authentication also, in which we will cover the phone authentication and the multi-factor authentication also. So do comment below your suggestion, because your suggestion matters the most. And yeah, we will simply get the idea behind how we can simply process out our project here in the next part here. So till then, have a nice and awesome day, and take care. Goodbye.